Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the cheered podcast that isn't prepared. I'm Mike. That's Dave. That's Dookie. Woo! It is. I got some nervous energy going on. I just had a day. I really had a day, and I got so distracted by everything going on. I completely forgot we were doing it. I've seen the episode. I did not do the rewatch today. I did not write down any of my notes. And I really love this episode. Like, I loved the first one, and I was excited about the rewatch, and then it just didn't happen. Did not happen. Wildness. So I'm going to be leaning on the two pros that I work with every week, Dave and Tookie. Hey, folks, how was your big summer holiday?
Had a nice holiday. Went a friend had was having a little get together. We went and sat in her yard, which overlooks a fireworks display. So that was
Nice.
seemed it was a nice way to escape ever so briefly from uh, what every day presents us here in this great country of ours.
It is nice, a private yard, not dealing with anyone else, and pretending that reality is reality.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't. I felt guilty, but I also was like, for 4 hours, I can be here.
Mhm. You got to do what you got to do. And Tookie celebrated in potentially the most American way of all. Tell the people
I don't
how
know.
you rang in the fourth.
I mean, first of all, I'm more of a Juneteenth girl. It's kind of like Honda Days for for
Fair.
non-Christians. Uh, but yeah, so yesterday on the fourth, on July 4th, we at the Kavanaugh Burnham home watched Star Trek 4, and I live tweeted.
Hooray!
Yeah,
And
so an
yeah,
archive of
check
my.
out Tookie's. I just saw that today, and it was very fun. And I dare say, from the live tweet, I would say that you're a fan.
That's the common misconception.
Sorry.
Just because I documented it.
I did not mean to read joy into where there was none. I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you. Though I will say a certain someone took great delight in the fact that I couldn't remember the whale museum biologist's name, so I just called her Olivia Newton Prawn because she's a fish person from the 80s. So it just
They're mammals, Tookie.
if it's shaped like a fish and it swims like a fish, I'm gonna call it a fish. I know it's a mammal. I know it's a mammal, but I don't care. It's a fish.
Hot takes.
Did the movie not teach you how intelligent and feeling these mammals are?
Yes, it talked to a giant, menacing space testicle. Of course, they're intelligent and can communicate. If you watch the movie, you'd understand. But like, it's a fish. I'm gonna call it a fish. I know it's a mammal, but it's shaped like a fish and it swims like a fish. Therefore, it is a fish.
All right. Tookie coming with all the hot takes today. Woo!
I'm
I
aware.
love Star Trek 4. I took Kyle to see it, and I was like, it's pretty safe Star Trek for you. She
Indeed.
doesn't like the blood, and it's very light on violence, the Star
Mm.
Trek 4. It's really a comedy.
Total comedy.
Yeah.
Like I said to you guys, this is probably my favorite Star Trek. My favorite Star Trek piece of culture in total. And yet I've never seen it front to back once.
That is wild. How has that happened?
It's just ubiquitous life on cable, and
Mm.
like I said, I like to encounter this film in the wild. It's all like whenever I find it, I know I can sit for 45 minutes and be eased through these very familiar patterns in a very
Mhm.
genteel setting in a world I recognize. Just a delightful experience every time. I to
Mhm.
this if I have voice recognition turned off on my phone, but if I
Mhm.
did have it turned on, I would absolutely, in Walter Koenig's best voice, say, "Hello, computer."
And what
It's
about
it's it's a delightful Star Trek. This is Star 4 is either my favorite or 2. And it's hard to say simply because they are such different movies that it very much depends on your mood. The Voyage Home and
what
Wrath
about
of Khan could not be more different while featuring the same characters.
what about nuclear vessels? People kept telling me about the vessels.
The Wessels.
A lot of Wessels.
Yeah, Chekhov. Yes, Chekhov. I would hate to go to Russia and find out that they don't actually pronounce it Wessels. That would break my heart.
Oh,
That would break my heart. Like finding out wrestling isn't real. It would break my heart.
wow, Mike.
One of the great missed opportunities of K-19, the Widowmaker, Harrison Ford's Russian sub epic, is that at no point does he use the word Wessels.
Ooh.
I loved Harrison Ford did not do a ton of interviews. He didn't do a ton of publicity. He did publicity for that movie, and he hated that movie. I remember so vividly him going on Conan, because I remember it being like a big get for Conan to get Harrison Ford, and him being such a crank about it. Just K-19, the Widowmaker. I think we were trying to find the most awkward title possible, and we nailed it. It was really just like, you could tell he was just like, the check cleared. That was all he cared about at that point.
If you ever want to see a movie where somebody does 40% of an accent, that is a film.
You know who leans all the way into their accent? Tom Hanks in the Elvis movie.
Oh, I've not seen it. Did you see it?
We just saw it.
What did you think?
I made everybody on Twitter guess what I had just seen. Fat suits, cocaine, and eyeliner. That's the best way I can describe it.
Wow.
All right, I've multiple thoughts about this, despite it being a movie that I have not seen. One, I respect, as we're talking about accents, which always, of course, makes me think of The Hunt for Red October, as we are like constantly bombarded by actors doing 40 to 50% of an accent. Looking at you, Costner. I greatly admire Hanks. Doesn't always nail the accent.
No, he does
but
not.
Goddamn, he swings for the fences.
He does.
He is there the whole way and is committed to it to the point where even when the accent is wrong, it feels okay. I'm like, I don't know what accent you're doing, but you're doing all of it. And I respect that.
My issue with Tom Hanks is that for as fun, I will say he's a fun actor. For as fun of an actor as he is, I can never not hear his voice, even when he is in a massive fat suit with all the prosthetics and facial prosthetics. I can maybe not see a Tom Hanks.
It's very distinctive, yeah. When he's trying not to be Tom Hanks. If you've ever seen Cloud Atlas, which was a huge swing for the fences. But yeah, like of all the actors to try to have playing multiple different characters over multiple different times, it's not Tom Hanks. Like Tom Hanks is always Tom Hanks. That was not the guy for it. And I get that if Tom Hanks wants to do your movie, you kind of just say, welcome aboard, Tom. But it was not the Tom Hanks movie. Yeah, it was, there's a lot going on in that movie. Lots going on in Cloud Atlas.
I've heard.
I've read that book and I was like, this book is unfilmable. And then a year later,
you were proven correct.
In the last piece of random media we've discovered over the week, I won't spoil the Elvis movie, even though.
Does he die at the end?
No spoilers.
All right, fine. Remind me to tell you later about JFK. Keep going.
Wait, what?
Sorry.
What about our nation's, was it 35th president? No. So the last piece of media we discovered that will haunt me forever is a children's program called Rasta Mouse.
Is that what it sounds like?
It is a claymation animated show from the BBC about a troop of pseudo-Jamaican rodents who go around town solving mysteries and crimes.
That show very much hinges on who made it.
Chet Hanks, obviously.
And who?
No, he did not.
And the voice talent.
Yeah.
Like that could either be a wonderful moment for representation or the most cringeworthy thing the BBC has done in a long time, which is saying something.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you just pull up an episode, it's on YouTube. Pull up an episode, watch, and then understand why all of my ancestors are rolling over in their graves, because they did not toil in the sugarcane fields of the Caribbean for that shit.
But I do ask genuinely, like, if you found out that this was made by like a Jamaican showrunner and authentic voice cast, would you then feel like okay about it and going, all right, you know what? They're trying to do something fun, cultural, that will play for kids.
No. I'd
No.
be even
Okay.
sadder.
Okay.
I'd be even sadder. If you watch the show, you'd understand.
Okay. Fair.
I'd be even sadder. Like, I thought we were better than this.
Got it. No saving it. Okay.
No.
But you know what doesn't need saving? This week's episode of Cheers, Season 4, Episode 15, The Triangle, which sounds mysterious and it's actually not. Just a very, very fun episode. And it feels like the episode where Kelsey Grammer said, you're not getting rid of me. No matter how much you want, Shelley, I'm here. Dave, what happened when Kelsey Grammer barged in and kicked down the door of Cheers?
Well, this episode premiered on January 23rd, 1986, which was also the date of the first inaugurated class to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York City, well before the Cleveland, noted rock and roll hotbed, Cleveland, Ohio, before that museum was built. Inductees include Chuck Berry, James Brown, Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, Fats Domino, the Everly Brothers, Buddy Holly, Jerry Lee Lewis, Little Richard, Elvis Presley, the Coasters, Eddie Cochran, and Eddie Cochran and Bo Diddley were next year, and the Coasters. So ending with Elvis Presley.
What about Aretha? Was she?
Aretha was the next year.
The Everly Brothers were in the first class?
Everly Brothers are in the first class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Wow. I do not know as much about music history as the two of you. That surprised me. Are the Everly Brothers someone that you would say, like, yeah, they're first ballot, first class?
I would say yes, but I'm perhaps a little bit biased by my love for the Everly Brothers and sort of tight brother harmony singing. They were massive.
Yeah. Is that like, Dave, tell me honestly, Dora Ravenel, first ballot Mom Hall of Fame? What do you think? Be honest. I feel like you can be objective about this.
Put her in.
All right. Well, to be fair, I think I too am biased in that my first exposure to harmonizing siblings was Hanson. So
that will taint the water.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Aretha. I tried to start the Aretha Franklin movie like 2 nights ago. Yeah. It was hard. I had to stop. Not because of quality. It was like Aretha lived a tough life.
Yeah.
And I have such a hard time, especially seeing something happen to kids. I'm like 10 minutes in, I'm like, click. I'll come back to it. I'll come back. I can already tell it's a movie I'm going to have to treat like a Quibi series. So I'm coming back every 10 minutes. This is what I can handle emotionally. Yeah. And I'll get through it because I will watch Jennifer Hudson in almost anything. I will just for even Cats.
Yes.
I will at least see her section of Cats.
Wow, that is.
How have we not found more good stuff for Jennifer Hudson? It's a tragedy.
Yeah.
She's a treasure, and boy, she is doing something in Cats, and that film is not her fault.
No. Doesn't it seem like, how has no one created a great Broadway vehicle for Jennifer Hudson? Does she not want to do it? Because it seems like such a given that someone would build a great musical just around her, right?
They did it for Idina Menzel.
What is that?
They did it for Idina Menzel. If then, I think it's called.
Yeah.
If, yeah.
Yeah. It just feels like I feel like somebody must have said it to her, and she's like, I don't know that I want to do, a year on Broadway 6 nights a week, which I would respect. But if no one's tried, oh, what a miss. Ugh. Yeah, we need more Jennifer Hudson. All right, Tookie, can you tell us about the cold open? Oh, Dave, did you have more to tell us about this period of time?
No, it's just it started that it was the first live ceremony, had a live jam featuring the backing band was the World's Most Dangerous Band from Letterman's show,
Hey.
once again cementing their reputation as the finest band in late night, at least perhaps until Branford Marsalis took over with Jay Leno.
That was a very brief stretch, though, if I'm remembering correctly. Branford was gone pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I love Kevin Eubanks, and I only want better for him.
The life of a musician is tough. I would never judge, which is why when the Roots took on the Tonight Show, and people were kind of surprised, I was like, you know what? Having a steady gig where you're making real good money and you've actually got nights to yourself, like especially those guys who a bunch of them had young kids, I get it. I get it. You get to come in, you get to have music, you get to work with artists that you love. It's like, you got time to record if you want it. I get it. I totally get wanting to be the house band for a stretch. Makes total sense to me.
Did either of you ever get the vibe that Kevin Eubanks low-key hated his life sometimes working on that show?
If by life you mean Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, but at the same time, it's like, that's not even a shot at Leno. That's just your boss.
Yeah.
It's like, because at some point, I feel like, especially as Jay Leno kept saying, we're going to be the Applebee's of comedy, you get sick of Applebee's every night. You know what I mean? It's not like with Doc Severinsen, where you had the wittiest person hosting the show every night in the world. You had someone who was purposely saying, I'm doing the lowest common denominator, and you need to laugh every time. I get it. Yeah, I felt that Kevin Eubanks vibe, and I admired him for grabbing his lunch pail and showing up to work every day.
Mm-hmm.
You do the job.
Mm-hmm.
You do your job.
I will say,
like
John Baptiste seems to love his job.
He seems to dig what he's doing. Yeah, it feels very genuine there.
Very happy for him.
Yeah, and there feels like there's a vibe that Colbert is really genuinely loving whenever John Baptiste and the band is playing together. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if he's just a better actor and taking it well, but I really get the feeling that which is also something true of Johnny. Johnny genuinely enjoyed listening to the band play. He's like, yeah, you get the feeling that he felt like, all right, during that time, that's my time to kind of sit back and enjoy, and I like this music. I get the feeling Jay Leno never knew what the band was playing at any given time and couldn't have cared less. Could not have cared less. And I think that's different from Colbert.
Mm.
Colbert, I feel like, is into it.
My last note before I get into the cold open is that why don't they just call it the Music Hall of Fame at this point? Because I really think genre-wise, we've kind of expanded past solely rock and roll.
Amen. Absolutely. It's like when people are, with the Dolly controversy, when that came up, it was like, how is Dolly Parton not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? And part of me is like, has she written rock and roll? Like, I love Dolly Parton. Love Dolly. I don't think she's ever done a rock song. She's certainly in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yes, she is.
Which she would be. A Songwriters Hall of Fame. Amen. But I feel like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, here's the thing that I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame did, as we reference back to the Everly Brothers. They started putting in too many people at once. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I get somewhat why they were doing that. It was like, all right, so these people have lived tough lives. We don't want to wait this out. We want to make sure they're here for the speech. So I kind of get that. But they did hit a point where you sort of go like, who's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's become a sort of like post-genre collection.
I think we've spent 20 minutes talking about everything but Cheers.
All right. Well, we talked about what happened before. Tell us about the cold open.
Let's get into the cold open. Okay. So another short and sweet one, and it happens to connect into the episode as it goes along. So we enter the bar, we're at the bar. Norm enters, and even everybody, Norm. And Woody says, "Hey, what can I get for you, what can I do for you, Mr. Peterson?" To which Norm replies, "Elope with my wife. What do you think, huh?" Which I don't like that. Cliff approaches Norm. He says, "Hey, Norm, pretend like we're having a normal conversation, okay?" And like he's like pushing Norm to walk backwards as he walks forward, and just like furtively says to him, "Okay, party at my house Saturday, 12 noon sharp. You're invited." And Norm's like, "A party at noon?" And Cliff's like, "Shh, keep it under your hat." Keep it under your hat, which is an expression I've never heard before, but did not make the 80s things list. He says,
that's a saying going back a long ways.
Yeah, I figured. So says, "Well, you're the only one I invited. Okay, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings." To which Norm says, "Hurt mine." And Cliff's like, "No. Look, we're gonna have plenty of beer, cold cuts galore, big bucket of slaw. You're gonna love it, and we're gonna
slaw."
Which, wow. He says, and we're gonna maybe do a little painting. Yeah, and painting. Yeah, just to the attic. But that's not the point. I'm inviting a couple of other guys from the post office. It'll be a great time." And Norm's like, I don't know, Cliffy. And he walks off. And Cliff's like, "Well, what's the problem here, Norm?" And Norm says, "Well, I hate to paint," which I don't want to detract too much. But doesn't Norm like open a paint business later in the season?
There is an incongruity there, yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you for confirming. So Norm says, "I hate to paint. You know that." And Cliff is like, "Who doesn't? But with all these guys around, it would take no time at all." And so Norm reluctantly agrees. "Well, all right, but don't tell Vera. She'd get upset because I haven't finished painting our house." And Cliff asks, "Well, what have you gotten? Or how far have you gotten? What have you gotten?" And Norm says, "Well, I bought the little hat." Roll credit.
Nice. Yes, my joke of the week was the cold open this week, where he said, "Hurt mine."
Yeah.
Hurt mine cracked me up. Just the delivery of it, it was perfect. And that is the B story this week, the sad painting party, which thankfully I think, except in Cheers, we've all aged out of. The painting party is pretty much a point in the past of your lives. Tookie is looking dubious about that. She's younger. She still might be in the painting party phase, or she just might have more successful friends than I did when I was young. But yes.
Okay, but paint partying, I feel like, has taken on a new meaning in the past couple decade at least, where it is
like where you get together and go full Bob Ross.
Yeah, where people, have a couple mimosas because somebody got a Groupon to drink and do a paint night where they all paint sort of the same picture. Yeah.
Yep. No, I mean, a painting party was really a euphemism for, if you guys will come over and help me paint my house, I will feed you. Yeah. Yep. And that is the B story, where Cliff is trying to get cheap labor. And the description of it later on cracked me up, where Norm was the only one who showed up. He ended up doing all the painting while Cliff and his mom argued about who forgot to get the pizza and the beer. And the best friend, Norm, just showing up, knowing how it was going to turn out, still got there. Tip of the cap to you, Norm Peterson. And I believe, keep it under your hat. This is how it was explained to me, and I may be mistaken. But when all gentlemen wore hats, it was a place where you could keep something if you wanted to keep it potentially discreet. So if you ever watch an old film noir or something, sometimes people actually take their hat off and have something up here, which is where I was led to believe that came from, and it made sense to me. Keep it under your hat. Yep. So keep it a secret and readily accessible. A story: the Frasier depression. Frasier is back in the bar. He's drinking. He's depressed. He is not paying his bills, which I love. We get back to TV finances, which again, this man who is doing very, very well seemingly stops working for a few months and can no longer pay for the beer he's consumed in a short period of time, which strikes me as a bit unrealistic. And he talks about selling off his library, which I don't know how that happened, but there you go. Diane convinces Sam that she needs to help Frasier feel better by helping Frasier feel like he has solved a problem of Sam's, which is depression, which was just not nearly as well understood in the mid 80s. And basically, she's saying, well, here are the symptoms, one of which is a lack of sex drive. And Sam, of course, balks at that. I'm freaking out. Whoa, 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 whoa. Remember how your mom said make an ugly face and it'll phrase out, it'll stay like that? Well, I'm not doing that. But eventually she talks him into going to Frasier for help. Frasier is convinced, believes he has helped Sam. He's so upset. Actually, no, he is so upset. And then we go to commercial. He comes back looking like $1 million, feeling great because he has solved Sam's problem. He's decided that Sam is still in love with Diane, needs to confess his love, and needs to do it right away, and goes off suit shopping. Sam and Diane talk. She says, oh, dear, because they're convinced that he's actually trying to solve a problem that is not there. They decide that they need to come up with a story to convince Frasier that has actually worked. I don't know what their plan was after that, but apparently that was the story. They start making a plan to go up to Marblehead, to a little inn up there. I don't know. I've never found a romantic place in Marblehead, but maybe I haven't looked hard enough. Anyway.
Marblehead threw me a little bit.
It feels like one of those places that sounds romantic unless you've been to Marblehead, which takes forever. There is no direct way to Marblehead. Woo! Anyway, they're going to Marblehead. They start talking about how the romance is going to progress, and they find out things about each other. Apparently, this is the first time Sam has realized that Diane didn't like nibbling on her ear, and that Sam found her to be less than erotic when wearing a yellow nightie, and said it looked like a big banana. They start fighting. Frasier walks in, says, oh, great. And then they say, oh, you didn't solve anything. We're not in love. I went to you with a fake problem. Then Frasier correctly deduces, you idiot, yeah, which was another contender for my line of the week, where he talks about how pitiful they are. Then says, no, because you are actually in love. He did correctly suss out what the problem was. They're completely in love with each other. He is confident that he has figured it out, and now it's time for him to put the pieces back together. He leaves. They kind of silently acknowledge to each other that he is correct, and don't actually do anything about it other than say, well, if this is misery, I guess I'm not all that sad. And they are just going to go on living in denial, which was, again, back to mental health in the 80s. And there you go. This week's episode of Cheers, The Triangle. I really like this episode. I loved having Frasier be a central figure in it. I liked the Sam and Diane interplay. I thought it was just the right amount of the supporting characters. Cliff and Norm are funny. I just really felt like it hit on a lot of levels. Tookie, what were you thinking about The Triangle?
No Carla this week, which was interesting.
Yeah.
So
that was weird.
Yeah, that felt kind of weird. She was in the background. She was floating around, but she wasn't present.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, she wasn't doing much.
Yeah. You look like a big banana was my joke of the week. I don't know why. Nothing else made me laugh except that in that episode. It was a good, and I enjoyed the episode, but for some reason I chuckled at that.
The nightie, by the way, was my 80s thing of the week, even though we did not see it. The idea that a very long nightgown that covered a lot of you on TV shows was erotic was a very 80s thing. I was like, all right, I guess that's good. like these actors would go up and change into something that was somehow covering more of them than the dress they had been wearing was. And it was like, oh, party time.
You're wearing a satin cape.
Yeah. Look at this sexy gunny sack. Well, now. But there you go. There you go.
I would rank this middle top.
Okay.
Not like middle, definitely not a bad episode. It's middle top. But I think because so many of the scenes were so static, right? And so much of it, we'll get into that later, but so much of it took place in Sam's office. I don't like Sam's office-centric episodes where the office is becomes a character rather than the bar, because the bar itself is a character. And so Sam's office it's not as just moving and dynamic of a setting. So
That's fair. Yeah.
So I was kind of like disappointed by that. Is that weird?
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. It also kind of, cranks up the whiteness of every episode where we spend a lot of time in the office.
Yeah.
I didn't do the count, but I have a funny feeling it's not going to be great this week.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
And it is. You're right. One of the fun things about Cheers is the, Carla jumping into the funny line, the funny aside from Cliff, Woody having something to say. And when they're in the office, you're immediately cutting out a lot of the fun things that makes Cheers special. Mm-hmm. So I thought it worked. I thought it was necessary. And I didn't mind it, but I get why a Cheers devotee would not be a fan of an episode where a lot of it is in the office. That makes total sense.
Yeah, I missed my joke of the week was the recurring discussion about the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And I thought that like the capper, like the return to the bar every time that Diane opened the door, and we heard one more segment of the bar argument about Wile E. Coyote, capped with, I suppose that makes Wile E. Coyote the Antichrist.
The Antichrist. Very fun.
But I missed that bar energy, especially because the energy, like Sam energy, was like really low and really like doofy this week, which kind of like brought the energy in the office scenes like pretty low. I felt like Shelley Long had to really do a lot of heavy lifting in there.
Yeah, I think it made a lot of sense simply because he was being dragged along towards something first he didn't want to do, and then to something he didn't want to admit. Mm-hmm. So I agree, but I also felt like it wasn't a bad choice. It was kind of a necessary choice for the story.
Mm. Yeah, I tend to agree, and it was kind of a fun color. But yes, Sam definitely felt like he was just like a few steps behind for the entire episode, which was kind of neat.
Yeah. True. It was good having a lot of Frasier. I liked having Frasier find his way in there, which is, I know what's going on before the rest of you do. Are you going to listen to me or not? Which I feel like is very much the character that he, there you go. Hey, Dewey. Which I feel like is very much the character he embraced and that made him work in Cheers. And in a funny way, I thought about this the first time, and I don't know if maybe I'm reading too much into it. I almost felt like, in a way, he and Frasier, Woody and Frasier kind of started taking the place of one Coach. Because Coach was kind of the guy who started figuring things out for everybody beforehand, but he didn't really get that he was getting it. Frasier gets that he's getting it. Woody has brought in the sincerity and the obliviousness, but doesn't bring so much wisdom to it. He has a couple of moments, but that kind of becomes Frasier's role a little bit more in people going to him with their problems and having him diagnose them, which Coach used to do. Mm-hmm. And Frasier kind of filled that niche, and it sort of started here, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good observation. Yeah, it was fun to see them have a little like scene lit at the beginning, and I don't know a strong contender for my joke of the week was the face Kelsey Grammer made when Woody informed them that at least, your career might have fallen off the table, but at least you have your weekends. And we just kind of lingered on Kelsey Grammer's angry face before he excused himself. I'm assuming to go to defecate because he was gone for quite a while.
A long trip to the bathroom. I mean, when you think about it, and I don't want to comment on it, but as you say that, these guys are in the bar a lot. Like, when you think about how long these guys spend in the bar a day, I feel like those bathrooms, they get some work.
Okay, can we talk about what the heck the hours are? Because
we've been talking about that since season 1. It makes the hours of this bar makes no sense.
Because it was morning at one point.
Yep.
And Sam was making coffee behind the bar. What the hell are the hours?
Seemingly, the hours of this bar are 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., except when they close at 9 p.m.
No, wait.
Or unless
No.
there's a bowling
Best I've
tournament.
got for you. Yeah.
No.
Yep. But when they got a bowl, you close at 1.
Yeah. They're basically a
PM.
Starbucks mixed with a dance club, but with the occasional random 6-hour siesta in the middle of the day.
Ah.
I don't know. Yeah. No, you're fighting an uphill battle. The bar hours are going to make as much sense as the bar staffing. It's never going to work. It changes as the show demands it.
It hurts.
By the way, who's building a shed at their house?
Not I.
Am I the only one who hears a table saw?
Oh, there's construction going on next door.
Okay.
I tried to close as many windows as possible. They thoughtfully brought out the stone saw right at 5:59.
Oh, nice.
We started recording at about 6:10, right as the porch was getting finished.
That's some timing where it's like, all right, you think everyone's home from work? Yeah, everyone's home from work. All right, great. Let's cut the stone.
I kept thinking, oh, this has got to be it, but there's apparently more stone to cut.
Hey, the stone takes time.
I recently
Got to give the stone its due.
I recently learned about the stone cutters a la Simpsons.
Oh, great episode.
Yeah.
Great episode.
I'm getting all sorts of how do I describe it? How would I describe it? Like, this is all these lessons about white culture that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
That
I love.
I mean,
if you and Trevor ever don't make it,
stop.
and you want to but if you want to try to recreate your marriage, you're going to have to find some kind of successful 15-year-old to really do it up. Which is one of the reasons I really feel like I could hang with Trevor for long stretches.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of I'm like, you know what? I think that was my peak pop culture time frame too. And I like that he, instead of attempting to move on from it, he's dragged you into it. I really like that. That's not easy.
Between the Simpsons, Star Trek, and poker playing, you guys would be. I'm surprised you're not best friends. I am truly shocked.
now,
You know, if I were capable of still making new friends, we probably would be.
Yeah.
The thing keeping me from moving to Canada more than anything is my inability to make new adult friends. I can't do it anymore. It's literally, I keep saying I should move to another country. Canada's right there. I really love it. And I'm still like, I would be I would essentially drive my poor wife to drink. I would absolutely send her into some kind of chemical dependency because I would have no one to talk to except her. Yeah.
Oh, don't say that.
I'm sorry.
Kyle,
Tookie, you might be my most recent new adult friend, Tookie.
I'm honored. I'm truly honored.
From 7-8 years ago. Yeah.
I'm truly honored.
Yeah. I think you got in just under the wire.
So then
Like before my ability to do it completely shut down.
No, but that makes Trevor your friend by proxy. It's fine. It still counts.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You have to be careful though of becoming too reliant on the friend. If you're the spouse of a friend and then you become friends, you have to be very careful about becoming too dependent on them because, and I'm not saying this is you guys, but if you ever do split up, you also lose an important friend in your life. And that's really tough because you're always going to stick with the first friend as opposed to the spouse of the first friend. If that ever doesn't work out, the spouse is gone.
No, he's stuck
It's
with
just
me.
how it works. And I believe he is. But I do feel like that is the rule, which is why you always want to be careful about how close you become to the spouse of one of your friends.
Fair enough.
Because because that's a friendship you will never have complete control of.
Fair enough. No, but he grew up.
You're too dependent on them making that relationship work, which is more stress than I can handle.
Fair. That's fair. I'm just saying I'm just saying he grew up with two parents who worked in contract law, and I explained to him that he made a contract with the state to love me till death do us part.
That's exactly what he did. I mean, just from a legal point of view, that is exactly what marriage is.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I'm no lawyer, but that's a nolo contendere as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, thank you.
I think even this Supreme Court would have to say that is correct.
He's stuck. He's stuck.
No way out.
No take backs. No backseat.
Right. So, Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
Oh, God. We are slipping. We have been slipping. The past few episodes have been real bad. Okay, so in the cold open, there was but one gentleman with a swarthy complexion on the back wall. Okay. Scene 2, because it's a continuation of that scene, he returns. There's a lot of reused extras. And then in addition to the swarthy complected man, I think he was like of Latin origin, possibly. So there was a black woman in green who talks to the guy sitting under the Geronimo portrait, a Latina woman in purple who passed by. I interpreted her as possibly Latina, who passed by in front of Diane, a black woman in a really just beautiful royal blue ensemble, like a coat and a matching undervest.
I remember that. Yes. That was a great outfit.
Wasn't it? Okay. And then there was a guy who I would sense is possibly, like, he gives me Dominican energies. He's possibly Dominican behind Sam at the bar, and then two black men who passed behind that gentleman. So that is about 7 people plus the one reused extra. In the second scene after that, the black woman in blue is now in purple. She's in a purple ensemble. They reused her as an extra. They reused a black man and woman from the scene prior as a couple sitting under the Geronimo portrait as well. And then a Latina woman, a woman who I interpreted as possibly Latina, standing by the piano. So we've got 3 reused extras and 1 new person. So in total, 10 people. It's getting bad.
I feel like Cheers is in a lot of ways reflecting the trend, like the direction of the 80s. It was like, we were coming out of, like particularly in TV, like a time where there was a lot more diversity on television in the 70s. And then as the 80s progressed, except for the Cosby universe, it got whiter and whiter and whiter.
Reagan.
Yeah.
Cough, Reagan.
Yeah.
Cough, cough, Reagan.
By the way, a quick fashion thought, if I can share it, and I don't know if this is correct, but my feeling is like royal blue and purple are 2 colors that are hard to make work, but when you pull them off, they are home runs. Like they're so eye-catching, and like you can't take your eye off of that person in the room when they are really making that work.
A jewel tone on somebody who knows what they're doing is a visually arresting moment.
Well put. Well put.
Big shout out to the costume department.
And disappointment with the extras casting. And the guest star casting. This is every casting. Let's do better. Just in terms of bringing some color into Cheers.
Yeah. I would say that also, like, thumbs down to the costume department for whatever they put on Sam Malone this week. Like, there seemed to be a desire to turn him into a kitchen sponge.
Oh.
It was like shapeless and baggy, and like it was just these weird, like kind of like ochre yellows. Like it was really weird, and I was like, this is they're working really hard to make this very attractive person less beautiful.
Oh, they're trying to desexualize Sam, you suppose?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, they were doing it with Shelley Long. This is another. I mean, they do it a lot with her, but this is another rough week of bows.
Oh no! Is she on her second child, perhaps?
No, I don't believe so. I don't, because she's out and about and walking invisible. But you know, they like to put her in that weird. I'm a Vienna like governess outfit sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like they go to it a lot.
The color looks good, but the cut is the design is a little frumpy at times.
One more fashion note. underappreciated Lucille Ball. I loved how they did costuming on I Love Lucy. It was always great. They knew what looked good, and they reused stuff like real people would. Like they would have her, and that was something that Lucy insisted on. Is like, look, these people are not rich. She should not have a different, beautiful new dress all the time. It's time to bring this one back. It's time to bring this one back. So I think they knew what looked good on both of them. They both look great. Desi looked great all the time. Lucy looked great all the time. And they didn't make it seem like, wow, they have closets that go on for days. It's like, nope, they're bringing this suit out again. They're bringing this dress out again. Yeah. The fashion of I Love Lucy, big fan. Big fan. Aside from poor Vivian Vance, who was never allowed to be attractive.
No.
Poor Viv. Poor Viv. Yeah. And avoid the Amazon movie. Anyway. Watch the documentary. The Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem becoming the Ricardos.
Oh, movie. I thought you were implying they Neil Diamond, the jazz singer.
Oh no! That's well-trod territory.
Okay.
No, I mean avoid the Amazon movie that they made about the Ricardos.
Gotcha.
Because Nicole Kidman, who I'm a fan of, but is not funny. She couldn't pull it off. There was never, and I understand it's thankless to try to ask someone to play one of the funniest human beings of the last 100 years. I get that that's a tough job, and I don't want to give anybody grief about it. But if it is that tough a job, just do the documentary. You know what I mean? Just go ahead and do the doc, and we don't need the biopic.
I'm a fan.
I am of that mind. What is that?
Yeah. No, I'm a fan of Nicole Kidman, but I'm real sick of her and her forehead that hasn't budged since 1996. Talking at that like that weird preview, not preview, on AMC screens. Do you know?
Oh yeah, I know the exact one. Yeah, I've seen it so many times. It's like, dude, stop selling us on coming to the movies. We're here.
You're here.
You've got us.
This is not. Won. Yeah, I'm here already. What are you doing? It kind of reminded me of, I did USO once, and like on Armed Forces TV, there are all these ads for the Armed Forces. And it's like, dude, we're here. I'm already in the Army. What are you selling?
Like somebody just wandered into the movies like, what is this? $9 popcorn. All right.
Yeah. I don't understand it. It's that weird thing of like advertising that makes you feel better about your purchase, which I'm just not a big believer in. I'm here. I'll feel better about my purchase if I enjoy the movie. That's what I'm in the market for. All I'm shopping for.
I miss the shoe movie, guys, speaking of. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Dave, your 80s thing of the week.
I'm gonna go with every shirt Woody Boyd wore in this episode. That was a lot of stripes, a lot of colors. Man, just I did not know it was possible to arrange so many stripes onto a series of polo shirts. Just some real spectacular stuff.
It was a lot. It was a lot. Tookie, your 80s moments.
Oh, did you already go through yours? You did.
I did. The nightgown somehow being erotic.
I did not have a ton this week, but what did leap out at me is cold cuts at a party. I feel like charcuterie and specifically cold cuts, like charcuterie is kind of a thing. It's upgraded. It's fancy Lunchables now. Yeah. But like specifically,
it's like when spaghetti started being pasta.
Yeah. But like specifically cold cuts, like salami and such, as party fare, as well as buckets of anything at a party.
Big bucket of slaw.
Oh my God. So that leapt out at me. It was mentioned before, but Roadrunner and Coyote Logic, like explaining the physics of, painting a tunnel. Mustache Guy is back. He was in 2 scenes, but he's got a whole beard now.
Oh, okay. I saw him. Yeah.
Yeah. That push broom has been upgraded. And lastly, referring to anyone as your love slave. I feel like attitudes about blank slave, insert slave. Like we were way more casual about that back back
Yeah.
back when the conversation on reparations was less concrete.
Yeah.
Just an
I remember I had a theater teacher who always used to refer to his assistant as his slavey.
Ooh.
It was rough.
Ooh.
It was rough.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh. Please don't tell me he was tenured, because boot that.
Mm.
Damn it.
I don't want to say any more because it would start to become obvious who I'm speaking about. But yeah,
Fair enough.
the word slavey was thrown about. Whew. Anyway, on that note, any other final thoughts about the triangle?
I enjoyed. I thought they pulled it off to varying degrees of success, but like I enjoyed. One of the things I enjoyed about the office scenes was giving the Shelley Long and Ted Danson some chances to kind of like act without the other one seeing their faces, but with the audience at home seeing it. Watching the effect of some of those declarations of love. Seeing how they were kind of playing on Diane's face, or how they were affecting Sam. Those were interesting moments. There was a Ted Danson one that looked a little clunky, but then there were some really wonderful Shelley Long moments where you could see the jokes that he was making having an effect that really paid off later on when Frasier called them out for legitimately being in love with each other. It was an energy we hadn't seen in a while. Some like off text acting, and I appreciated it. I thought it added some depth in terms of like where they clearly want to keep this season pointed towards.
There you go. Tookie, any final triangle thoughts?
Middle up.
Middle up. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think I might have a little higher than you, but yeah, I'm right in that ballpark. I enjoyed it very much.
Because I want to at least be able to gauge it against the rest of the season and see whether or not it goes up or maybe a little lower. But it's definitely a quality episode. It was just missing. What keeps it middle is the fact that we were missing the Carla, the Woody, the Bar as a character, rather than just the static scenes in Sam's office.
I got you. All right, we're putting episode 15 to bed. Anything to plug this week, my friends?
Let's see. Bill's Bar tomorrow at 7:30. And then we're gonna go see the Square Root Thursday at 8:30, and then on Saturday we're gonna go see the new Thor.
Nice. We are also catching the new Thor on Saturday, but during the afternoon because we are bringing a child.
Yeah.
Yep. David?
Nothing to plug, although I'll probably also see Thor this weekend.
Woo.
Nice. All right.
Give me
Studio
that
on
Taika
Saturday.
Waititi.
Love Taika. Yep. I will be at the studio this Saturday, and it'll be a good time. We made the mistake of having Kyle stay up to watch the Boston Pops fireworks last night.
Oh.
I am going officially on the record. I'm done with fireworks. No one's come up with anything new. All you do is more. And I'm not impressed by them. And once you've seen fireworks twice, you don't really need any more.
Twice?
You're good. Twice, because you need one really good one, and then you need something to compare it to let you know that that's what fireworks always are.
Okay.
You see one, you're like, oh, maybe I saw the wrong fireworks show. You see two, you're like, yeah, that's fireworks.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
That's what you got. And then today we had a sleepy kid. Good times.
At least no school.
All right. I am also a sleepy boy. So we are going to get out of here. On behalf of Tookie and David, I am Mike. Thank you so much for stopping by. And we'll see you next week with episode 16. We'll miss you until then. Bye.